In 2025, Lawrence Butler didn't lose a season. He lost margin for error. Let's talk about it today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the country. My name is Booney, one name, all passion, lifelong A's fan, and welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your A's every single day. Now, Locked On A's is 7 days a week. You heard that right. We get to talk more baseball. Now, why 7 days a week, you ask? And I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, it's about baseball, and baseball is awesome. That's why. And honestly, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for you right along with me here today. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. The wild card round is here. It starts this afternoon. And FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. One thing I am adding, guys, if you would like to come on the show, ask a question live, either audio only or video, whatever you prefer, just click on the link on the chat notes and we'll bring you on and make your comment just like it's a regular old school KNBR 68 talk show host. Talk show. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Today on Locked On A's, though, let's get to it. Today on Locked On A's, we open by setting the table with why the hype around Lawrence Butler going into 2025 was justified. I will walk through the expectations, the role he was projected to play, and why the A's believed he could be a long-term piece, hence extending him. It wasn't about context. We're not rewriting history. We're explaining why fans and the organizations bought in, why I bought it, why my predictions going into the 2025 season were so strong and had a lot to do with what I thought Lawrence Butler was going to be. Why I believed in Lawrence Butler and why that belief made the letdown sting more than usual. From there, we pivot into what actually went wrong in 2025. This is the autopsy, right? The uneven performance, the lack of adjustments, and how confidence and opportunity slowly slipped away. From there, we zoom out to the bigger picture. Why the A's need Butler to show up in 2026, not as a savior, but as a stabilizer in a lineup that's trying to grow together. Something I do want to do, as we are going 7 days a week, is once a week during the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, I want to pick a topic that some fans may not know entirely and do my best to explain what it actually means in more depth and understanding. And considering that teams are going to arbitration with a player or have reached agreements, I want to cover MLB contracts and arbitration, explaining in plain terms how timelines, service time, and arbitration years affect roster decisions and obviously patience levels for each franchise. What do you guys got? What do you guys got? What's up, T-Dog? Law Dog needs to show something, or I wouldn't expect him to make it to Vegas. Well, he's going to make it to Vegas, Law Dog. He is signed to Vegas. And good morning to you, my man. Jason Butler is going to make it to Vegas. I don't see Bolte, Thomas unseated. Not with, listen, we're paying We're paying Butler as well, guys. Don't forget that. He is signed through 2032. And his contract is heavily backloaded. Lawrence Butler it will be in Vegas unless something unforeseeable happens. Let's talk about Lawrence Butler. Let's talk about why the hype around Lawrence Butler was so real. I forgot I cannot read without these. Having a hard time reading your questions. I was as high on Lawrence Butler as anybody going into the 2025 season. Hell, I still remember we had the Locked On AL West preview. I said Lawrence Butler would be the best player in the division. The other hosts were literally laughing at me. I still remember H-Town, the host of Locked On Astros, all, "You think he's better than Yordan Alvarez?" I said, yes. Turned out I was right just because Yordan was hurt the whole year. But my hype around Butler and the A's were strong. And a lot of it had to do with 2024. I even said on that show that the A's would not only win the AL West, they would run away with it. I was laughed at, called a troll. They were proven right because I could not be further wrong. But I based it on actual statistics that Lawrence Butler did in 2024. In 2024, Lawrence Butler didn't have the best of starts to the season. He struggled early on. But as the season continued, he got sent down to Vegas. His attitude wasn't the best. Kotsay sent him down. He figured things out. And when he came back up, we saw a whole new Lawrence Butler. In July and August, he was one of the best hitters in all of baseball. In July, 34 of 93. That's an average of 366. 10 bombs, 27 RBIs, 6 doubles, 23 runs. He struck out 19 times in 98 plate appearances. That's 19.3% average. In August, 29 to 99, 293, 8 bombs, 18 RBIs, 7 doubles, 19 runs, 105 plate appearances. He struck out 18 times, 17%. You put those together. He was over those 2 months, 63 of 192, 328, 18 bombs, 45 RBIs, 13 doubles, 42 runs. He struck out only 37 times, which is an average of 18%. He had 2 3-home run games. He wasn't bad in September either, guys. He definitely wasn't towards the numbers of July and August, but he was okay. He hit 280 in September, had a couple bombs. Then all of a sudden, man, before I go forward, the first thing I was thinking of in 2025, what will his spring training be like? And this is how he started off spring training. 9 of 16, 2 home runs, a double, 5 runs, and struck out only 1 time. The rest of the spring training weren't towards those numbers. They declined a little bit, but he was still okay. He was still good. I was like, hey, he's the real deal. Spring training for me, coming off that second half of 2024, showed a lot for me. Where did it all go wrong? What the heck happened? And I'm going to get to that up next. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you will see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The Boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you are backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The Boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the Boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the country. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You will get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On A's compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. Go to lockedona's.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Back at you, talking Lawrence Butler, the need for Lawrence Butler. Where did it all go wrong? Bill, do you think the A's regret signing Butler and T-Dog? I think there has to be a bit of regret after the regression we saw in 2025, just to hope he can return to form. So I don't think they regret it, and let me tell you why. His contract was so darn team-friendly, guys. I mean, it was such a good contract. Let me give you the summary of his contract. He signed a $3 million signing bonus in 2025, but they bought out his third year of pre-arbitration. His salary in 2026 is 3.6, salary in 27, 5.4, in 28, 8.4, in 29, 10.4, and 30, 14.4, and 31, 16.4. There is a club option in 2032 for $20 million. Club option. If they pick up the club option, he is making he's making $20 million. It's a $4 million buyout if they don't pick up the option. So when you really look at the contract, it couldn't be any more team friendly. It's a hell of a contract considering what Lawrence Butler did in 2024 and even declining the way he did. It's a good contract. It's a really, really, really good contract. Defensively, you got to give Lawrence Butler credit. Defensively, no one talks about how much Lawrence Butler improved defensively. And I'll give you an idea, guys. In 2025, I thought he was awful defensively. I mean, awful. In 2025, he was the 26th best outfielder in all of Major League Baseball. And what I consider as the main statistics for fielding is outs above average. He was the 26th best. To give you an idea, everyone talks about Tyler Soderstrom, and deservingly so. Soderstrom was 25th. He was third in Gold Glove. And had a 5 for outs above average. Lawrence Butler had a 4. He was right there, man. He played center field. He played right field. I was beyond impressed with how good Lawrence Butler was defensively. He has an above average arm. He was unbelievable. But as far as what went wrong with Lawrence Butler, in 2025, it starts with the plate. And I'm going to give you some numbers comparing what Butler did in 2025 compared to what he did in July and August of 24. You're going to find the numbers interesting. There's one main number I was very surprised when I saw. All right, as far as plate appearances, 569 plate appearances in 2025. He hit 234 versus over the stretch of July and August in 2024, he's at 328. 21 homers in all of 2025 versus 18 over that 2-month stretch. 63 RBIs over the whole year versus 45 over those 2 months. Here's the main statistic. There's two main statistics I want you to look at. What surprised me? First of all, obviously, his strikeout rate. 28.5% of the time on plate appearances, Lawrence Butler struck out in 2025, which is awful, versus 18.2% in July and August. Here's the interesting part. In 2025, he had a 9.3% walk ratio, which isn't bad. In that stretch in July and August, his walk ratio was only 6.4%. What's this mean? Lawrence Butler's approach, according to these numbers, and according to what I saw visually, changed. It looked like he was trying to be a true leadoff man. He was taking a lot of pitches. Even though, during the season, hey, I would sit here and I was critical of, hey, take some pitches, Lawrence. I thought he was jumping all over first pitches. He changed. Then he started taking pitches. He got himself behind in counts. He started striking out a lot. He was swinging free in 2024 over those 2 months. And 25, it looked like he was trying to get on base via walk instead of just swinging free. Something changed. I think Lawrence Butler put a lot of pressure on himself as well. One thing that did bother me about Lawrence Butler at the beginning of the season was his prediction to make the All-Star team. Once you hear any player or anybody for that matter making a prediction in a team environment that is about themselves is a red flag, and that's what he did. I get what he was doing. Atlanta was his hometown. He wanted to go to the All-Star game in Atlanta coming off 2024. I get it. I understand. I didn't like it. Lawrence Butler was the type of guy in 2024 that when things were going great, and in 25 as well, smiles. Everything's good. Everything's happy. But when adversity hit, he switched. He went the opposite direction. I was extremely critical about that during the year. Extremely critical. And still am, not for just Lawrence Butler, for any player. I think sports, life, for that matter, is about how you handle adversity. And Lawrence Butler needs to get better at that. And again, that's something he acknowledges. That is something he acknowledges as well. That's something I thought Mark Kotze has done a hell of a job with Lawrence Butler as well. I think he's worked good with Lawrence Butler on that. He needs to continue to improve. If his attitude's there during the good, during the bad, we're going to see that Lawrence Butler we saw in 2024. Jason, the A's outfield defense is underrated. I agree. Soderstrom, for sure. What Soderstrom showed in 25 was real. He made some great plays. Do you remember that play he made against Texas, in Texas, where he caught the ball against the netting? He made some outstanding plays in 2025. He was awesome. Clark speaks for himself. Clark, you can make the argument that I don't even think this is a stretch. I don't even think you could really argue it, or if you can, he's in the conversation. Denzel Clark is the best defensive player in baseball. If not, he's in the conversation. Can anyone really argue that? I don't see how you can. What's up, Timmy? And Lawrence Butler as well in right field, above average arm. We saw the plays he's made. He got so much better defensively. Good call, Jason, as usual. You're right on, bud. What's up, Timmy? I like that Butler's ace pitch was good, even though his eye at the plate tapered. Yeah. I think everybody needs a little bit of being humbled. And that's exactly what happened with Lawrence Butler. I think it was good for him. I think 2025 was good for Lawrence Butler. And in about 6 seconds, I'm going to tell you why it's so important that the A's need a glimpse of what we saw in 2024. As it stands right now, guys, when you're looking at the A's lineup, what we know that is locked in is first base is going to be Nick Kurtz. Second base is going to be Jeff McNeil. Third, shortstop is going to be Jacob Wilson. Catcher is going to be Shea Langoliers. And left field will be Tyler Soderstrom. We know that. When you go around the infield and the outfield, sure. I mean, as far as the favorites going in, you're looking at, and we know that Brett Rooker will be your DH. I forgot to mention that. Those are your automatics. I don't think there's any debate for 1 second with regard to those players. Now, when you're talking about center field, sure. Denzel Clark. Right field, people have thrown out the idea of like, hey, let's platoon Denzel and Lawrence Butler in center. Worst case scenario, right? We get the right type of Lawrence Butler. We want to see him in the lineup every day against left-handers, against right-handers, so forth. We want to see Lawrence Butler every day in right field. The other names you throw around and you hear about, Colby Thomas, Carlos Cortez, Max Muncy at third, Brett Harris, Daryl Hernandez, sure. And they'll be in there. But you could flip-flop one or the other, and they're not going to make a huge difference in your lineup. I hope they do. But speaking now in January, I don't think you could really say that. I don't think there's much debate or argument in that. Cow Boo Booey. What is up, dude? The problem with the A's offense is they don't really have a leadoff hitter and their lack of speed throughout the lineup outside of Clark. Speed's an issue for the A's for years. Their aggressiveness on the base pass has always been one of the worst. And yeah, I agree with you. They don't steal. I think last year they were, I want to see 28th in the big leagues in stolen bases. Lawrence Butler's the only threat. And he had, 20-something? I think he led the team by a lot. Denzel Clark, while he has speed, he has to get on base to be a threat as far as stolen bases. And he's going to be hitting out of that 9 hole. And I wouldn't really consider Denzel Clark a quote-unquote base stealer. If you look at his stolen bases versus caught stealing in AAA, in the minors historically, hasn't been the best. Can he? Is he a threat? Absolutely. I agree with what you're saying, though. We don't have a lot of speed. We don't have a true leadoff hitter. I'm not dead on Lawrence Butler being that leadoff hitter. He was that true leadoff hitter in 2024. Somebody that flashed average, power, speed. He was a threat. And when I'm talking about 2024, I'm talking about July, August, and September. Other than that, yeah, you're right, Jason. We don't. And that's why it's critical that we get Lawrence Butler to be a glimpse of that guy. Now, I know a lot of you have said, hey, listen, I'd like to see Lawrence Butler hitting the more towards the back of the lineup, maybe in the 6th spot, in the 7th spot, in the 8th spot. For me, I don't disagree with that, but I think in order to maximize what this lineup can potentially do, I don't think you can give up on Lawrence Butler being a leadoff hitter. I think he still needs that opportunity. He's still gap to gap with juice. He still can hit doubles, triples, and yeah, if he's hitting the way he can, he's a 30, 35 stolen base guy, easy. So I don't think you can quit on Lawrence Butler being that leadoff guy. I still think he needs to have that opportunity. Butler had 22 stolen bases. Next best was 8 from Sodi. And the 22 from stolen bases from Butler that he had last year were towards the end of the season. A majority of them were towards the end of the season. Much of what Butler did statistically last year was towards the end of the season. He played a lot more loose. And when I talk about, hey, how will the A's do this year? I think that, I've said it, 84 and 78 is my prediction. I think they're going to be good. Obviously, a lot better. But I am cautiously, and you've heard me say this a lot, I am cautiously optimistic. And the reason I say that is because playing games, 10, 15 games out versus being in the race is two different things. And that's the mistake I made last year in the prediction with regard to the A's. Going into 2025 is part of it was I was overly optimistic. I really wanted the A's to do well moving from Oakland to Sacramento. I wanted them to shut up the negativity and just kill it. Anyway, Bill, what would be your 2026 starting lineup 1 through 9? All right. Ideally, here's what I think is the best possible lineup for the A's. Keep this in mind, though, Bill. This is with everybody playing at a high level. Okay? With everybody playing at a high level, meaning the best possible version of themselves. That's what I'm basing it on. The best possible version of themselves. Lawrence Butler leading off. I know you guys are going to crush me on that, okay? Lawrence Butler leading off. Jacob Wilson batting second against left-handers. Jacob Wilson against right-handers. Jeff McNeil batting second. Tyler Soderstrom. Nick Kurtz batting third. Brett Rooker in the cleanup role. I want to keep it righty-lefty. Nick Kurtz in the cleanup role. Tyler Soderstrom in the 5-hole. Give me a second here, guys. I got to think here. Shea Langoliers in the 6th hole. Now, again, you could shift Langoliers and Soderstrom lefty-righty, right? Shea Langoliers in the 6th hole. In the 7th hole, Jeff McNeil against lefties. Jacob Wilson against lefties. Jacob Wilson against lefties. Jeff McNeil against righties. Sorry. In the 8th hole, Max Muncy batting 9th. Denzel Clark. That would be my 1 through 9 right there. And again, making a little bit of shifts here and there, depending if you're going against a righty or lefty. I mean, how deep is that lineup when you're talking about a Jeff McNeil or a Jacob Wilson batting 7th? That ideally would be my lineup. And that's why it's essential that Lawrence Butler bats leadoff, and not only bats leadoff, but is effective in the leadoff role. So that is my ideal lineup. You guys might have a different lineup, but that's mine. Jason has a different lineup. I think McNeil's going to lead off because he doesn't strike out and he walks. Second best OBP outside of Kurtz. I can see that. But ideally, I'd like to see an effective Lawrence Butler. Somewhat of what we saw in the second half of 2024, where he was striking out at a rate of 17%, which is very good. well below league average. And I'd like to see McNeil or Wilson in the 7th spot to add depth to the lineup. That's my ideal lineup. If we don't get a Wilson extension, how will the A's spend their remaining money? A pitcher? We'll see. We'll see, my A's. I think they're going to get the Wilson extension done. I'll be surprised. They've been talking about a starting pitching, yes. I got the same questions you do, my A's. In my prediction, and I said this yesterday on yesterday's show or the day before, falls in line with something Jason said as well. I think it's going to be a Wilson extension and a starting pitcher, someone like a Carlos Quintana, a Miles Michaelis, maybe a veteran like a Justin Verlander, something like that. That's how I think it's going to happen. And again, let me make something clear. The A's don't have to spend. For me personally, I want them to get to the same cash payroll they were last year. As far as the luxury tax payroll, they're ahead of what they were last year. They're ahead. So, but yeah, I do see them getting Wilson done. I'll be surprised if they don't, man. And I'll be disappointed as well. What's up, T-Dog? That is a very deep lineup when you have 30-plus home run game guy at the 6. Isn't that, oh my God, T-Dog. And then in the 7 hole, you have Wilson potentially an over a 300 guy, or McNeil, a former batting champ, if we can get somewhat of the McNeil that used to be. Yeah, absolutely. Cowboy Bowie, bring back Bassett. Listen, Bassett would be great. Bassett's expensive though, Cal, right? Bassett's a free agent. And it's not like Bassett doesn't have options. So in order to get somebody like Chris Bassett, the A's would have to offer him a premium. And what I mean by a premium, in order to come to a minor league ballpark, you would either have to go multi-year, let's say 2 and 32 for a 38-year-old, 37, what is he, 37, 38 years old? I don't want to do that. Or you'd have to go like 1 and 21 because his value right now is 15. But I do like Chris Bassett. Let's make no mistake of it. I love Chris Bassett. You got to kind of decide what you want to do. You have to make a choice. Wilson extension and a back end starter, or Chris Bassett. I'm making the first choice easily, no brainer. If they don't do either, yeah, I'll be disappointed. Pete, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? So it really, really depends on how the rest of the offseason shapes up. I still think, like I said, I think they're going to get the Wilson extension done. We have to be patient. The Soderstrom extension just happened here on the 29th. That was what, 10 days ago? So it wasn't too long ago whatsoever. But that's what we're looking at, guys. I will cover, I didn't get to it today, guys. Sorry. MLB contracts, arbitrations. I'll explain that tomorrow on tomorrow's show, 9 a.m. Locked on A's. Like I said, 7 days a week. Why? Because baseball's awesome. We deserve to talk about baseball because at the end of the day, guys, it's still about baseball. When you get through all the fog and all the garbage and the stadium, this and blah, 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 and all the politics of it, it's still baseball. When we started loving this game, we weren't thinking about who the owner was or what the payroll was. We love the game. And let's not get away from that as fans. Let's make sure our eyes always on that because baseball is above everything else. And the game itself is above everything else. So don't let the other noise and the negativity get in between that. At the end of the day, baseball. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful Saturday. I will see you all tomorrow. See you. Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On A's. We will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. live on YouTube. On audio, the show should be up around 10 a.m. Locked On A's is now 7 days a week. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On A's so you get all the latest episodes. You could find Locked On A's on social media on X, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Locked On A's. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On A's ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedona's.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB.